The 6-shooters and cowboy hats will be dug out of the storage unit tonight as we head to Wild West in Sparks, Nevada for the Mud Season Classic. For the past 2 seasons, we've seen plenty of action at this mile-and-a-half circuit, and tonight looks to be no different. Bo Albert comes into tonight's race after a dismal run 2 weeks ago in Crandon after him and Magnus Okenhaug came together so many different times I couldn't even keep count. But he looks to hold on to his points margin, very slim, over the Norwegian today. Defending champion Sindre Silva had a dominating performance in Crandon, and he will try to repeat his performance from there and here from last season. But with the new Subaru and the new Spark LLM team, it will be interesting to see if he can adapt. Welcome everyone to live Lights to Flag coverage on the Automotive Sports Network of the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge, Round 5 of the 2021A Championship. Victor Vallee in the production truck and Dylan Baadte next to me in the commentary cube. I am Josh Mertz, as this broadcast is presented by our friends at Simracer Coin, the cryptocurrency made by sim racers for sim racers, and our racers will race to own the winner's coin tonight. You can check out their platform, their vision, and all they have to offer at simracercoin.org. Gentlemen, round 5, no Connor Parisi. We're here in Wild West. I don't know what's going to happen.
It's certainly going to be an exciting. I'm looking forward to this one. I've been waiting. We were here last year. Super exciting. Tons of action going on here. This place has got lots of wild jumps, lots of hard braking zones, lots of up and downhill. It's going to be super interesting. And like you said, we got guys here in new cars who might have been fast last year, but they're in a whole different piece of equipment this year. We don't really know what we're going to get.
As we will take a look, as we currently are in qualifying, about 3 minutes left, we'll take a look at our point standings, the top 10 at least, coming into today's race. You'll notice Bo Albert there, car number 06 for Logitech G Altus Esports, our points leader in the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge, 8 points ahead of Magnus Okenhaug for Foxhead Gaming Spark Last Lap Motorsports. Connor Parisi in car number 11, not here for Jim Beaver Esports, so Sindre Silva will essentially be third. And there's a recurring theme, Ray Kingsbury in 5th for Foxhead Gaming Spark Last Lap Motorsports. Sabian Ragster, Edmondson, Romain Rateau, Derbyshire, and Philip Kraus, even though Phil's only ran, I think, like 3 races, which is very interesting. Constructors Championship. Due to having so many cars, LLM is 45 points ahead of Jim Beaver Esports. They are 77 ahead of Last Lap with Renovo, LRL, iDrive Sim, and DGRX, and of course Apex, rounding out that order. Subaru, 86 points, 9 ahead of Volkswagen, and 53 ahead of Ford. The German and Japanese manufacturers having great runs so far this season. As we take a look in qualifying so far, if we can get this sorted up, my whole storyline about Sindre Silva, yeah, irrelevant. 0.6 of a second up. So Dylan, I think he's gotten used to the new car.
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty safe bet. He's got it figured out. He seems to be pretty dominant on the tracks that feature a lot more dirt. He's really good at getting it in these places and getting it done. It'd be interesting to see if anybody can come up with anything to catch him, though, because, I mean, if he's going to be this much faster, this might not even be much of a competition tonight.
As if I look and count this correctly, I want to say we have 21 cars in our field today. Our format for the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge, we will have 4 heat races, 6 laps apiece. This is where I'd say you have to take the Joker once, but, you know, there's no Joker here because it's the endurance track. Then it puts us into 2 consolation races, C main, B main, LCQ, consolation, whatever term you want to call it. That will be 5 laps. And the winner will transfer out of that race. And then you'll get 10 laps, 10 cars. And another interesting thing is we had the Land Rush last week. We have a rolling start, like a road course this week. So the 2 Endurance Cup races, certainly going back to the heritage of NASA Rallycross.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We get 3 straight races with 3 different starting kind of, mentalities. See who's really good at what. Some of these guys could probably use it to their advantage, try and gain some points on Bo Albert, who for a while there looked like he was going to run away with this thing. But after these last few events, seems like he might be attainable.
As I believe we are about to be gridding up here for heat number 1, as we go to Sonoma, Phoenix, in the next couple weeks, so we stay out west here. but it's certainly going to be a very interesting show. Nonetheless, for the next hour today, 0.7 of a second, Sindre Silva over Jason Hook here for pole position in heat number 1. Sabian Ragster, Marwan Moftah, Sean Stratton, and Tim Brokaw. Brokaw looks like he did not even get a lap counted in qualifying. So as we sit back and we take a breath for this heat race, if last season was any indication, it's going to be a crazy one. And we have an hour to figure that out together.
If I remember correctly, last year, I feel like Ray Kingsbury was pretty strong in the races, and he wasn't really that fast in the practice and qualifying times also. So, I mean, maybe the qualifying times, you know, just a product of having better, you know, open track and not so many other cars around.
The Kingsburys were a couple drivers to practice often. I remember this race because the only time I drove here was after I got my wisdom teeth removed. And I couldn't speak, but I was still super fast. And the Kingsburys fast that day. Matt Kingsbury won. Hook on the gridding process a little slow there. Green flag, and it's going to give Silva a healthy margin over the first jump into the first corner. Ahead of Ragster, Stratton, Moftah, and Brokaw. 3 wide Stratton with Hook and Ragster out of turn 1. Over the jump in turn 2. Silva trying to hold the lead. Hook's going to be kicking himself. He had that second place, and now he's going to have to try and take that advantage, take that speed advantage to Ragster. But if I look here, he was 0.7 up on Ragster during qualifying. So it'll certainly be interesting. Everyone's single file filing through, going up the hill. A couple of jumps here, a couple of rhythm lanes, just like the Supercross tracks. Ragster hits the berm there out of the final corner. Hook tries to go to the inside, and still holding the lead. Sindre Silva, healthy margin for car number 63 over Ragster and Hook, who are side by side over the jump. So Hook gets by him and takes that spot into second. So I think that was the speed differential last lap. Well, it was only the first lap, Dylan. Second advantage from Silva to Hook. These two beating and banging. I don't think Ragster's too happy with him. As Stratton and Moftah side by side here. This is for the 4th position. At least I take a look on my screen. Moftah checks the 72 of Stratton, and those two get pushed out wide. Moftah, the 191, 3-time winner in the series. Hook got by Ragster, held off Ragster as we begin lap number 3. It's going to be interesting to see if Ragster can take the fight to him. He was a half a second down. As we look side by side with Stratton and Moftah over the jump, entering turn number 2. Rounding the corner, Stratton is the inside, checks the 191 just like Moftah did to Stratton that last lap. And Stratton to the 4th position. These two battling for the transfer spot. I think I lost Dylan Baadte. I gave him a moment to speak there, and silence from that other end. I'm not sure where he went. I think we lost him. I think he's gone. Sindre Silva holds the lead as we take cross flags here in Nevada, ahead of Jason Hook, Sabian Ragster, Sean Stratton, Marwan Moftah, Tim Brokaw. Brokaw had no practice in the 111, and it shows 54.699, so a couple seconds slower. Sindre ran a 51.285, Hook a 51.8, Ragster 51.9, so half a second up is Silva over Hook. And Ragster keeps diving it in turn number 2, trying to take that advantage, but he can't get it done. And what's interesting at this track is, realistically, you just have to dive bomb and park it on the apex. I hate to really say that you have to dive bomb, but you park it on the apex, and you can get the momentum through the torque in the engine, and it really pushes you through with a good line, believe it or not. And even if that didn't make any sense, it made sense in my head. Coming to 2 laps to go, Sindre Silva leads by 2.5 seconds over Jason Hook in the 137. As Ragster trying to take the advantage to him, but he can't get it done. He was 0.2 down that last lap from Hook. And Hook comfortably holding that transfer spot. as we ride on board Ragster here in the 191. Trying to go to the inside. Can't get it done again. Trying very hard to make up this ground that he has on hook, but I don't think he can get it done. He's going to have a lap to go, lap and a half now. Still a lot of time, but I don't know if it's going to really help him out. Off the final corner, Silva's going to take the white flag. The gap is 3.5 seconds. As we look at Hook here, still battling Ragster. These guys are going to take the white flag as well. And we're going to see who will transfer in our first heat race tonight. Ragster's got realistically 3 chances to get it done. Hook goes way wide. That might have hurt him in turn 1. No, it didn't. He held the momentum. He was lucky not to get clipped by Ragster there. Down the hill, into turn number 2, over the jump. Tricky to get right. This whole track is really. Hook's going to go wide again. Ragster's going to go deep. He hits the wall. And I think that's going to seal it. As it's a tricky path to get right. And it looks like we have lost Tim Brokaw in the 111. So no Brokaw, at least through this heat race, maybe for the rest of the night. Sindre Silva, defending champion, fastest in seating and on pole position for the Wild West Nevada Grand Prix. And Jason Hook recovers after that start line hiccup to transfer ahead of Ragster, Stratton, Moftaw, and Brokaw. So, heat number 2. Here in Wild West. Brandon Lambert, Matt Kingsbury, Travis Seymour, Andrew Howell. I think we are missing Philip Kraus and Ray Kingsbury. As Philip Kraus, car number 19, 4-time champion of the series. Brandon Lambert, the inaugural champion of the series. As we get ready for our second heat race here in Wild West. Like I mentioned, I still don't know where Dylan Baadte went. I think he snuck out and he didn't take a key with. So I don't know if, Victor, you want to join in on this, but it's totally up to you. Don't want to force you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously doing directing and commentary isn't my forte, but so we're about to go green here. And say, Josh,
green for heat number 2. Kingsbury got a terrible run. Kraus got a better run going up the hill into the first corner. Wide is the 19. 21 Matt Kingsbury sneaks to the inside there. Hello, Andrew Howell in 666. Tried to get it done. Pushed Lambert out wide. Nearly got into Kingsbury down the hill. Up the jump into turn number 2. Ray holds the lead over Kraus and over his brother.
Oh.
Matt dives it in. Lambert hits the wall. Howell around. Phil gets checked by Matt. And the Kingsbury brothers are 1-2.
So that was a very rash move by Matt, but he was able to make it pay off for him for the time being, as Phil is going to try to take the lead here from Ray on the inside. Going to look to the inside, hopefully.
As they
not
made
make
contact there,
yeah.
Victor, as he took the spot going into turn number 3, and he got hooked there just a little bit. We know Phil is fast, but he always has bad luck here in Wild West. Ray Kingsbury leads over Kraus, Kingsbury, Howell. Seymour spun in turn number 4. And Lambert in the 46.
And I believe Phil has not made a final here, if I'm not mistaken. I think he did not make the final last year, nor the year before that. With that said, by the way, just to look on the ticker right now, yellow is for Subaru, white is for Volkswagen, only 2 Volkswagens in this heat, and then blue, of course, for the few Fords we do have in the field tonight.
So I'm about to roast you on a live stream. So Dylan Baadte cannot see anything to help with analysis. He sent me 20 text messages that he can't see anything.
We are going to fix that right now, actually.
So he cannot give any analysis.
I've been here the whole time. I never went anywhere. I just couldn't add anything because I had like a 1/4 inch of visibility.
We will fix that right now for you, Dylan.
As Kingsbury still holds the lead while Victor manages to fix his stuff. There we go.
Hey, look, there's race cars, boys. We got 2 Spark cars here coming uphill.
I'll let you take this whole lap. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. You go ahead, buddy. This is fun, though. I can finally see what's going on. This is way better.
Kingsbury leads ahead of Kraus. Kingsbury, Howell hits the wall. Seymour and Lambert, if we can take a look real quick, these two are battling to the death for 5th. They just went neck and neck, door banging in turn 1.
Hey, man,
Lambert
you got cars
outside.
around. You got to practice for that last chance. You know, you might have
What
to
a
make a
move that
move.
Lambert just did!
See, there it was. Now he knows he can make that move in the next one if he has to. See, he's learning.
As the inaugural champion, certainly knows how to get it done. And he got the pass done on Seymour. But, unfortunately, for any Brandon Lambert fans, it was for 5th.
Yeah, you didn't have to go and say that.
As I really can say that because I only got 1 podium in my last 2 seasons. So, you know, washed up has been. At least I am one. Up front, Ray Kingsbury ahead of Philip Kraus. 0.2 of a second ahead of the Canadian is the American from Connecticut. And then his brother is 0.3 slower than Phil. So it's interesting to see the disparity between Subaru and the Volkswagen.
Josh, if I remember correctly, last year Phil got wrecked pretty early, and he was driving angry for most of the race in his heat, and he was a lot more aggressive. I feel like he's really just kind of taking it easy out there, not really in any rush yet.
The last 2 seasons here in Wild West, Phil has been taken out either, I can't remember if he crashed on his own or if he got crashed, but I know that he flipped one of these races, and it wasn't the greatest of experiences.
I believe that was last season.
2 laps to go for Ray. They were equal on time. Well, you can go down to the 100th of a second. It was 200ths faster than Phil. And Matt was a second slower than these guys. So it's interesting because the Volkswagen won last season with Sindre Silva, and he isn't on pace, him or Seymour.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, it definitely looks like these Subarus are built for this specific circuit a little bit better than everything. They really seem to just be handling better, and they go through the jumps better. They don't seem to get as heavy onto the nose on landing and really upset the car.
So you can't see the screen for the first half of this race, and I just dropped my phone. So all kinds of stuff going on here as we take the white flag here in Heat
Technology's
2.
not our best friend here, but we make it happen.
Yeah, it was a 2-week break. I had to commentate on an iPad in a bedroom in Colorado, so you know that's how
But
that
you made
goes.
it, and that's what's important.
That was
Never let the fans down.
a good race for Crandon as well. That track always has a great race. Kraus trying to take this fight to Ray. What's interesting is because Ray's 5th in points, so I would imagine that he's going to defend these bonus points till the death because he is in the points battle. Even though Phil is 10th in points, he's only run 2 races.
Yeah,
It
if
was
I'm him, I'm not
Hell
giving this
and Brands
position
Hatch.
up at all. I want all the bonus points I can get. I'm trying to, close this gap as much as I can.
As final corner for Ray Kingsbury here in heat number 2. And he's going to lead Philip Kraus home as they will transfer out of this heat race. And former race winner here in Nevada, Matt Kingsbury, to the LCQ, along with Howell, Lambert, and Seymour. So now that you could see about half a race, what do you think of the track? What do you think about the drivers?
The track, I mean, granted, we're still early in the heats. There's not a lot, going on with the track status yet. But I feel like the track's a lot smoother right now. It's not as slippery as it was from what I remember last year. And these guys seem to be taking it a little bit easier. But I mean, granted, like I said, still the early heat race. There's a lot of racing to go here. And I'm sure the excitement's going to kick up as we continue. And we'll be right back to the whirlwind of insanity that was, the last few races and the race here last season as well.
As heat number 3, Magnus Okenhaug, Matt Keys, Adam Thomas, Romain Marateau, and Cody Crosgrove as we get ready for this 3rd heat race. It's going to be interesting to see if Magnus can really get this position. If I'm looking at the gridding, I don't think Bo's going to be on pole for heat 4, so the next heat race. But what's interesting is that's going to put him in 4th, so he's not going to have the greatest of starts come the final.
Yeah, he's going to have to work for it again for, I think, the 2nd week in a row. He's going to have to, hustle.
Given the fact that it's 2x2, just like a regular road course start. So it's going to be interesting to see, but we have to get through this heat race first. Okenhaug, Keys, Thomas, Rateau, Crosgrove, green flag in heat 3 in Wild West. Over the jump, Okenhaug has a nice run over Keys into turn number 1. Rateau tries to take it. Okenhaug
he gets in the send!
from Adam Thomas, and Cosgrove gets turned by Rateau.
Oh man, that was not a good start.
So it's Thomas, Keys, Magnus, and then it's Rateau and Cosgrove. Cosgrove, one of the GT Americas drivers, trying his hand in Rallycross. And this puts Magnus on the back foot here. Rateau to the inside of him, trying to make it happen. Can't get it done through turn 3. But Adam Thomas, in the last lap with Renovo in the Volkswagen, leads us ahead of Keys. Okenhaug tries the inside. Keys, I think, might have given up the spot. We'll have to see if we can figure out something later on. But Thomas, a decent-sized lead as we end the first lap.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be getting run down here. Unfortunately, there's still 5 laps to go, and you know that Magnus is going to be all over him before long. Oh, Rateau really sends it into the corner there. Gets into Keys.
And the Frenchman trying to duel with Matt Keys, one of the only Fords in the race aside from Tim Brokaw. Thomas has gotten caught by Okenhaug. I didn't think that was going to last, and I'm not trying to rag on Thomas, but he hasn't raced here in this car, at least that I know of. But Magnus has for the last 3 seasons. So you gain that little bit of track time. Onboard Keys looking at Rateau. Rateau closes the door on the 62 and holds the 3rd position. Into the final corner. Rateau goes wide. It's very hard to get this rhythm lane right because you can start braking and turn before you even lift off the final jump and clip the berm there. But if you get a centimeter off of that, you are not going to have the greatest line.
Yeah, from that onboard shot there, it didn't look like either one of them hit it right. It looked like the Ford Rateau was a little wide there, and then Keys was a little bit too far to the inside and kind of caught.
What a move by Keys! You'd hear Dale Jr. yell slide job, and that was the cleanest that I could see aside from Lambert's move last race. Okenhaug to the inside of Thomas. Couldn't get it done. These guys are battling for 3rd, so remember, this spot doesn't matter, Dylan, but they're still racing like it's the end of the world.
Hey, man, like I said, you got to get that practice in and get your track time around these other cars and see what you can and can't do and how you can use somebody up without, being, rude and shoving them off the track and getting yourself a penalty. You got to know the moves in case you have to use them in the next one. I'm sure everybody on the grid knew that when they saw Magnus was in this one.
Thomas is half a second down that last lap. He's holding his own over Magnus Okenhaug. Let's see what it updates to. 51.3 to a 51.1, so 0.2 of a second up. But Thomas out wide in turn 1. I was just about to say holding his own, but let's see if Magnus takes the spot.
No, that was a beautiful pass right there. I think he's going to have no problem getting down into this corner.
He does have the inside, though. Think of yesterday. Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott in the Busch
exactly
clash.
What I expected, the crossover. There he comes.
Crossover in turn 2. You'll have the outside for one corner, the inside for the next, just like Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney last night. And we'll see what happened. We see what happened there, and we'll see what happens here coming to 2 laps to go. But Thomas holds this spot.
I mean, he's really holding his own here. This is impressive. I'm really liking what I see from him.
As it was a late race gamble, Okenhaug dives it in, but Thomas does the same thing.
Crossover again. Here we go. Not quite going to clear him, though, as they come down.
Oh, we're coming to 2 laps to go, and if it was a flying photo finish, that would be crazy. 2 to go. Okenhaug led at the line that last lap. Thomas on the inside. He was 0.3 of a second down on Magnus. Magnus
he gets
looks
a great
like
turn 1, manages to get back even there.
I think Magnus is going to clear him this time unless Thomas is very brave on the brakes, or he does the undercut again.
Oh, he tried to get him on it, and Magnus was right there.
Magnus parked it on the apex in the 26, and that might have sealed it. We don't want to talk too soon. Still a lap to go.
Oh, what a camera view here. As you see, looking back from Magnus and watching Thomas closing in or falling behind, whatever it may be.
As Magnus Okenhaug leads ahead of Adam Thomas. I don't think you were around for the first race we ran here, but I remember that Magnus Okenhaug, he was battling for the championship with Matt Hartley, white flag in heat number 3, battling for the championship with Hartley. He missed the final after being one of the fastest cars here in that first race, and I think that kind of haunts him in a way. I haven't spoken to him about it. I've been meaning to, but forget. But I feel like if I was in that position and I was that close to winning a title and I missed a race that I was super fast in, it would kind of haunt me.
Yeah, that would bother me too. I don't know. I mean, I didn't even know that at all. That's you hate to see it. You hate to see it.
As he has pulled away from Thomas. This is good practice for Thomas. Like I said, I think he's one of the newer drivers, for sure to NASA. I think to the service in general. Could be wrong. Don't want to offend, but this is good practice for him if he is brand new, because he's behind one of the faster guys that we have, and Magnus Ogenhaug wins Heat 3, and Thomas through to the final in the 6:25 for Renovo with last lap. Rateau, Keys, and Crosgrove round out our order. And I can't help but think about the feel-good story. I mean, if I look at the points and I look at Adam Thomas, 22nd in points, and he's going to be guaranteed at least a 10th place finish.
Yeah, he showed up tonight. He brought his A game, and he's got himself some guaranteed points tonight. That's got to be a good feeling.
As he comes over the chat and says, "Wow, dude, great racing. That was fun." So it's great to see that the drivers in the Simracer Corner NASA Rallycross Challenge still having a great time. Heat number 4 on deck. Points leader Bo Albert with the red plate. Josh Edmondson, Bodie Cryer, Kieran Forrest, Diane Feldman. This is going to be a hard one to predict, but we'll have to see if our points leader can hold his points advantage. As this is something he's not used to these endurance tracks, at least I don't believe so. So we'll have to see if he can hold this lead. We know Edmondson's good here. He runs the Pro Trucks. Green flag in Heat 4. Kieran Forrest as well. Not a slouch in a rally car. Over the jump to turn number 1. Albert uncontested. Forrest sends it, and Albert gets turned by Edmondson, and Forrest to the lead.
Yeah, but Albert manages to keep it straight. Got the bump in the right spot there. Kept him back on the line.
Into turn number 2. Inside, Albert on Forrest. Edmondson's going to try it. He gets hit again, and he parks it on the apex. Does the 58. As Cryer and Feldman watching these two battle, Forrest pushes Albert out wide in turn 3, and Forrest is not a slouch for the Apex Racing squad. Defending race winners is that team. Switching to the Ford this season, Albert on the outside in the Volkswagen. Here comes Edmondson.
Yeah, these guys keep having trouble, but they don't waste any time getting right back into the picture and right back on top of one another.
As contact over the jump in midair, as Forrest leads at the end of the first lap. I'm trying so hard to give you an opportunity to speak.
No, you're fine. Keep going, Josh.
Albert to the inside, pushes it way out wide. Edmondson to the lead. He gets hooked on Forrest, and around goes the 58. Albert's over. The 6, our points leader.
Oh, more trouble coming down the hill.
Feldman around as well, and this puts Bodie Cryer in the lead.
Ooh, man, I told you the excitement was going to ramp up as we got through these heat races, Josh, and now we're up here having a whole kind of blast. Who would have expected this a lap ago?
As Cryer, remember last lap I said, I thought to myself at least, him and Feldman out by themselves. They're not going to be affected at all. And Cryer leads. Forrest in second. Albert on the outside looking in. I'm going to take a look on my monitor. I'm not sure if Victor Vallee can get one for you, but I'll at least try and take a look. Albert sent it into turn 1, and what really compounded that was Edmondson tried the same thing, and they just bonked wheels almost like an open wheel, and that's what caused that issue. And Feldman got hit by Edmondson trying to rejoin the track. So, what's interesting here, Dylan, is it's 3 seconds from Cryer to Albert. The more important gap, 1.5 seconds from Forrest to Albert. And I don't think Albert's going to have enough time. Granted, we're coming across flags, but that's a huge gap to make up here, and there's no joker.
Yeah, that's a lot of time, and with no joker and no real variability between the laps that everybody's going to be running, it's going to be hard to make up that much ground in 3 laps.
50.9, 51.2, 50.7. It was 0.5 seconds up. Albert in turn 1, and I think there's got to be an issue there. He straight-lined that corner.
Like his entire wheel disconnected or something.
Because he's not getting off track, so it's not like he rage quit. Oh, yeah. Keep focusing on that, but I'm looking off screen. His pedal collapsed, according to Tim Brokaw. So our points leader is going to have some adversity here.
Oh, man, that's not an issue that can, sometimes that can be a serious issue. I hope we can get something figured out so we can get another shot at it here in the LCQ.
As Cryer leads us with 2 laps to go. No brakes for the 06. And what goes from bad goes to worse. And you know who loves this? Magnus Okenhaug. Because, obviously, he won his
That
heat
puts
race.
Bo back even farther if he makes it in.
Because it puts him in the LCQ. And we know from previous experience here, turn 1 is a brawl. So if he can make it through turn 1, that's great. But if he can't, it's going to be 1.3 seconds faster was Edmondson over Forrest. The gap is about half a second, so we'll have to see if Forrest can hold on and get to the transfer spot. To put it into perspective, Forrest sits 18th in points. He has had a terrible run this season, and we'll see potentially him in a final as well. So these endurance tracks certainly switch up our grid order. And
Josh, that felt almost like shots there. I felt like you were gonna go somewhere positive with that in the end, but then you just kind of said he was having a bad year.
Well, the positive is that he's in a transfer spot, and he's going to double his points haul if he can make it home in this heat race. There's never negatives. There's always positives. It just takes a couple hoops that are on fire to jump through. I say that to people all the time at work. Cryer ahead of Forrest, ahead of Edmondson. Feldman still struggling in 4th after getting turned. We got 1 corner left, and Edmondson might see an LCQ as well.
This LCQ is getting more and more stacked every second.
Final corner. Cryer survives the chaos in
How
heat
about
number
that?
4. And Forrest will transfer in the 44. Edmondson to the LCQ along with Feldman. And then the big storyline here, points leader, Bo Albert. Technical issues along with getting crashed there to the LCQ. I don't know what to expect in this first LCQ. We have, let me look, 7 cars. Ragster, Rateau, Stratton, Keys, Moftah, Crosgrove, and Brokaw. And what makes this crucial for Albert, if it is a pedal issue, he has the time to potentially get it fixed.
Yes,
And he
definitely.
has a couple of minutes longer instead of having to be forced into this race and not know what's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely give you a little bit more time to figure something out and get everything calibrated to where you're comfortable with it so you can make a run with some emergency equipment if you have to.
As Ragster on pole position, Rateau, Stratton, Keys, 2nd row, Moftah, Crosgrove, 3rd row, Brokaw in the 111 in 7th. After the heat races and before the LCQ, the track crew comes down, lays more dirt down. You're going to hear the same thing that I always say. Dirty track, very loose, no grip. But just like last week, just like in Norway, the dirt here is purpose-built. There's dirt on top of dirt, so it's not like the regular rallycross tracks where it's dirt on asphalt, and that gets really messy. 5 laps, the winner transfers, and this turn 1, chaotic. Green flag. Rateau and Ragster, 2 of the most aggressive drivers, and I say that with love. Keys tries the spot and turns Ragster in the 91.
Oh, no, everybody.
Stratton tried to take the fight to the 62, and Keys getting redemption, and he takes the spot. Decent lead over Stratton. Stratton dives it into Keys. Rateau gets stacked up, so does Crosgrove and Moftah, and Brokaw gets hit by Stratton as he tries to get straightened out, but Keys loves this 3-wide Crosgrove into the wall, into Ragster. He gets driven under, and the 18 of Crosgrove ping-ponged around, and now this puts Moftah in 2nd, Rateau in 3rd, as we noticed a battle there with Brokaw, I believe it was Ragster, as Brokaw and Crosgrove off the track. They have parked it. Keys leads at the end of the first lap. He's got a huge gap over Moftah. Moftah's got Rateau to worry about here in the Ford. Egyptian v. Frenchman here. And it'll be interesting to see if either of these guys are either going to race or try and catch Keys. Moftah wide in turn 2.
Yeah, but I like the line he took there. He kind of stopped and didn't give Rateau anywhere to really go to take the run that he had.
We're not going to really see lap times, Dylan, until this lap Interesting here. I notice in chat requesting 3-minute delay to the next LCQ grid from Bo Albert, and it's in all caps. So we know that he is frantically working on that. Brake pedal shear to bolt, have to take everything apart. So people tell me sim racing isn't like real racing. This reminds me of a car in the service park getting worked on in the last few minutes of the race.
Yeah, it's definitely, it has its moments where it gets even more realistic than you might imagine, and we're in one of those right now. It's, you know, not normally you have an equipment failure like that where you have to break the wrenches out.
As normally I wouldn't step away in the middle of a race, I'm going to make sure that the admin team knows to postpone that by a couple minutes. Give me just a moment. Continue.
I'll go ahead and jump in for Josh here. Hey guys, how's it going? It's a little bit early for me, but Dylan, say obviously right now, Matt Keys out front. Moftoss second, tracking him down just a little bit here.
Yeah, it looks like he's definitely getting a little bit of a run and gaining on him a little bit. Look, Keys has been pretty steady, but I think Mofto's really found his lane and his comfortability here, and he's just got his sights set on the lead, and he's trying to get there.
51.9 last time around, about a 10th up on Keys was Mofta there. The gap is closing, but does he have enough time? A 10th a lap is not enough.
A lap and a half left here.
Yes.
As confirmation, I think they're going to do a 2-minute hold for the B main for our points leader, Bo Albert, confirmed by Sindre Silva. As we notice, at least I notice, in the chat here.
That's what Sindre wants at least, so that's may not be what the admins give him, but that's what Sindre feels is fair to, as a driver of the series.
We remember a couple weeks ago in Norway, Parisi had an issue where his computer completely crashed, and they did postpone it by a couple minutes to try and let Parisi in. So we'll have to see if Albert can fix that car. Keys into the wall. This is the white flag in the C main, and the winner transfers, and Keys
gets a little off to the side coming over that bump there. That might be what Mofta needs to be able to get a chance to shot at him.
The Egyptian points it the wrong way in the hairpin. I don't think it's going to work.
I don't think that was it. I think that was the last shot he had.
As Keys might have gotten off with a huge break. And this LCQ, or this race in general, just producing such a mixed up grid.
Yeah, I like it. I really like it here. I'm 2 for 2, you know, on these races here at Wild West. We've had awesome racing every time, and sometimes, you know, the unexpected happens.
Final corner, Matt Keys with a daring move to take the lead and take the win. He will seed 9th in Wild West, 11th is Moftaw, 13th Rateau, 15th Ragster, 17th Stratton, 19th Brokaw, and 21st to Cody Crosgrove.
This one is a little stacked.
Kingsbury, Edmondson, Howell, Feldman, Lambert, Albert, Seymour, and our points leader is in 6th. The gridding countdown time has been set to 3 minutes, so we will have a couple moments here to discuss this crazy race that has been going on. If you're just joining us here on the Automotive Sports Network, welcome to round 5 of the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge in 2021A. It's Josh Mertz, Dylan Baadte, Victor Vallee, welcoming you in here in the final consolation race before we hit the warm-up and the feature here in Sparks, Nevada. Big storyline is our points leader, Bo Albert. On the outside looking in at the current moment, had a bolt shear on his brake pedal, no brakes, hit the wall in turn 1, didn't transfer through his heat race. And what's interesting is he has won 4 heat races this season. His streak has ended. Sindre Silva, defending champion rather, trying to gain as many points as he can, fastest in seeding, and is on pole position for the feature. As Ray Kingsbury, Magnus Okenhaug, Bodie Cryer, and Matt Keys, the winners of all of those races. Albert's trying to get all of his stuff rebooted.
So I believe he is streaming right now, so if one of us wants to go over there and take a look at that and see what is going on for him, let's see if we can see how close he is to being done. This is not something that happens often in racing. Well, I should say sim racing for that matter. Yes, it does happen often in racing, but not sim racing. The last time I saw anything similar to this, I would have to say was either Well, of course, Parisi's computer crashing, but for a full sim rig change like this, the last time I saw anything like this was Simon Pagenaud in the virtual 24 hours of Le Mans that happened back last year.
He says, good to go. Not the right size bolt, but let's see how it goes. Sindre Silva jokes with the Australian, says, come to Norway and use mine. So, good bit of camaraderie here.
Good banter
in the
there
paddock
between the two.
If you feel they aren't mechanically sound at any point, please be smart, says Ray Kingsbury. So, not doubting that Bo Albert won't send it into turn one.
I was gonna say,
the
for
points
people
leader.
like us, not only is he starting in the back and he's going to be working hard to get up to the front, but now you got to watch him because his brakes might explode again. You never know what's going to happen.
As grid for the B main, second LCQ, consolation, insert whatever term you'd like. Matt Kingsbury, Edmondson, Andrew Howell, Diane Feldman, Brandon Lambert, Bo Albert, Travis Seymour. If you like what you see, both with NASA and with ASN, check out nasasimracing.com for all the information regarding the league. Anybody's welcome. And if you're watching this and you have a league and you say, well, I guess these guys know how to talk about cars going in circles very well, asntvusa.com for any inquiries there, as we are always welcome to new partners for both NASA and ASN. As we roll for the B main, this is going to be a tough one. I can't predict a winner because Edmondson's great in the trucks. Kingsbury's a former winner here. We know Albert is going to be determined, and there's 5 laps to get this done. Green flag for the B main. Edmondson leads at the line over the jump. Howell to the inside tries to take the spot. Albert in the 06. Very cautious in the corner with that new bolt. He gets by Feldman, but he's still in the spot as Kingsbury gets turned by Edmondson, and both of them are off the track. So is Feldman. And that makes the job that much easier as Seymour to the inside on Albert can't get it done, and this puts Lambert through to the lead.
Wow, what just happened?
Out of turn 3, Lambert leads ahead of Albert. And not discrediting if Albert makes this, but granted, turn 1 kind of helped him as Edmondson sent it into the corner. But now it's going to be a test of Brandon Lambert, the grizzled veteran. Can he hold off one of the World Championship drivers to get this spot as he leads at the end of the first lap?
Oh, man, you see those guys just get together, both off track, hard into the barrier.
Albert closes in. So does Howell. Seymour. Feldman gets pushed out wide, I think, by Edmondson in the 58. I don't think they hit. Feldman just pushed out wide. Howell gets turned by Seymour back live, and both of them off the road. Edmondson into Feldman there as they all come together in turn 2. Oh, and I think that was... Well, maybe it wasn't. We can't speculate, though, as we had 4 cars crash into each other. As Edmondson has disconnected, he's given up. Albert trying so hard. He was off the road in the 06 trying to make this happen. And what is it, Dylan? With every single NASA Rallycross event, it just gears up and up and up in the excitement level.
You know, it might sound kind of cliche, but I think it's just we're getting to the end of the season. These rounds are ticking away, and these guys know they got to get everything they can, and they're running out of time.
Lambert was a 10th up on Albert that last lap in the 46 ahead of the 06. So the inaugural champion, 5 times a race winner in the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge. Granted, this isn't for an overall win. He hasn't won since 2014, so you know that Lambert certainly has to light a fire under him, and these endurance tracks remind him of those NASCAR 2003 days. I say that because they reminded me of that, and I got my final podium at Wild West. Coming to 2 to go, Lambert pushes out wide. I think this is what Albert needs. No, Lambert holds it. In the back of the field, we're not missing anything as we sit on board with Lambert, Seymour, Howell, Feldman, Kingsbury, and...
Here we go. There he goes. Lambert goes wide, and Albert's going to get the spot.
But he's going to have the run off of the corner. I was busy looking at the other results, side by side, over the jump into the second corner. The lap and a half to go. Lambert has the preferred line, but Albert's going to try the switchback. Can he get it done? Lambert holds the spot. Contact! Into turn 3. Uphill, left-hand corner, hard to get it right. Lambert defending for all he's worth, but he's got the points leader on his tail, and Lambert knows what it is when he has to be determined. Him and I came together in that first season, and he was so determined to take that spot. You know that he knows how that goes. Albert takes the spot. He clears Lambert as we take the white flag.
Yeah, but this thing ain't over yet. Lambert is not going to give it up that easy.
Turn 1. Lambert, oh, they hit. Unless Lambert gets a good run off the corner, he was less compromised than I thought, but it might be hard for him to get it done. Over the jump, into turn 2. We know the Volkswagen's going to defend hard. Can Lambert do a switchback? The gap is closing. Half a lap. 2 corners left for Bo Albert. Can he do the unthinkable and repair this car and end up transferring as a last-ditch effort? Over the rhythm lane. Final corner for Bo Albert. Lambert tries to send it, but he doesn't have the line. And honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Bo Albert salvages his points lead, potentially winning the B main, seeding 10th. Lambert comes home in 12th. What a run. The battle for 14th isn't over. Seymour comes to the line ahead of Howell. Howell is 16th. Looks like 18th will be... Let me take a look. 18th is going to be Matt Kingsbury. 18th is Feldman. 20th is Kingsbury. 22nd is Edmondson. Wow. I'll see you guys in a couple minutes.
Wow is not the word for it. I just cannot. I am lost for words right now.
These things
Wow.
just get crazier and crazier every week. The longer we go, the more we see that we've never seen before.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen a driver repair equipment, though. That's what I'm trying to figure out, and I've been thinking about this the entire
I've seen people
time.
switch. I've definitely known people
of
that pulled
course.
out their old wheel when their new one quit working for a second, but I don't think I've ever heard of anybody pulling out the bolt and the wrenches.
I have never seen that in all of my years. Closest thing, obviously, is switching equipment, but nothing comes close to actually repairing equipment. Gosh, wow. I really hope that bolt holds. I mean, it looks like it is going to hold definitely fine for Albert there, as he's probably going to be looking to make sure that bolt is going to hold. That's probably why we don't see him out on track right now.
If he's smart, he'll be making sure everything's tight and feels good before he gets in while he has this time here. And,
Exactly.
instead of just going out and running warm up for the whole thing.
Exactly 4 minutes for him to make sure everything is right. It was probably a quick last-ditch effort there to get the brake pedal repaired, but now it is time to have it fixed properly, so then that way he can take the fight to Kingsbury and Silva and Okenhog here in the final.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure he's got it figured out. He said it wasn't quite the right size, but if it worked that well for that race, I'm sure he was using it to catch up to Lambert there. So
he absolutely he had absolutely no trouble finding the brake pedal at turn 1 there, so that's good news for him there, as he still has yet to get out on track. He's probably working on that, as we said before. Your pole sitter for tonight, Sindre Silva, in our only rolling start event of the season here. And Dylan, to say, I know you know rolling starts pretty well, more so than standing starts.
Yeah, I know him. I'm not real good at him myself, unfortunately.
I was gonna say, I think you might know him better than Sindre does, and I think you might know him better than Okenhog does, because both of those guys.
Yeah, but then you gotta factor the whole thing that would throw me off would be that we're on dirt. And I'm not a big dirt guy.
Right, that's a huge thing too. Getting the jump on dirt, as we see Sindre.
Gotta be even easier, you'd think,
Keith?
to spin the tires on dirt on a rolling start than it would on asphalt.
Absolutely, and it is one of those things, and a lot of these guys don't have that experience with rolling starts. Sindre, of course, I think he only turns his first laps in an oval in, I think, December. So, besides the experience he has with the NASA Rallycross series here at Wild West, I do not think he has much other experience on rolling starts. A driver who does, on the other hand, right here, Philip Kraus, okay? Now, I think he might be one of the guys to watch on the start. Him and Ray Kingsbury both run in the Indy Elite Series. They have rolling starts over there, of course, because it's IndyCar. Those guys are going to be ones to keep an eye on. Bodie Cryer as well, because I believe the Pro Trucks here have a rolling start as well.
Phil's one of those guys. You put him in anything, he's gonna figure it out and be fast.
Yeah,
I've seen him
absolutely.
in all kinds of different series, all kinds of different disciplines of racing, and he's always a guy you got to contend with. And most of the time, he's a guy you got to worry about running away with the thing.
Absolutely, and we've seen him have some pretty good luck in the IndyCar stuff. Ran an official IndyCar Open race earlier this week, finished second, and I think he's kind of rekindling that fire underneath him that he lost at the end of the season last year. I think he's kind of get back to his old form, his old competitive self out there right now. P1 on the board. Not a big fan of this track, but definitely showing why he's one of the best in NASCAR Rallycross competition.
Yeah, for sure. He's out here putting up good, smooth, solid laps. Now, granted, he's out there all by himself, and in about 50 seconds or so here, he's going to be in a whole different place with a whole bunch of carnage going on around him.
Absolutely.
So
he's going to be in the
effect.
Hornet's Nest starting, I believe, P6 on the grid, if I'm not mistaken. A couple other guys in the field. Jason Hook, I believe he won last year at Crandon. So, another guy with some good experience on the dirt side of things, the endurance tracks, I guess you would call them. Matt Keys, of course, transferring out of the LCQ. Adam Thomas, the feel-good story of the race, I would say for sure. Currently 7th, faster than Ray and Forrest right now.
Yeah, and I feel like these practice times aren't really relevant because in the race, he was holding his own with Magnus Okenhaug.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
He's definitely gonna drive to the level of the guys around him and give it everything he's got. So I don't think these practice times are necessarily too reflective right now.
I don't think they are either, but it does show who's really pushing in warm-up, trying to get a little bit more out of their cars, maybe trying to make a statement. But with that said, speaking of statements, the voice of the NASCAR Rallycross Challenge, the Simracer Coin NASCAR Rallycross Challenge, Josh Mertz, go ahead and take it back away here.
The 181st round of the Simracer Coin NASCAR Rallycross Challenge overall, round 5 of the 22nd season, shows our grid as this. And if that wasn't grammatically correct, it's been a long day. Sindre Silva and Ray Kingsbury on the front row, teammates for Spark LLM. Magnus Okenhaug and Bodie Cryer on the second row. Jason Hook and Philip Kraus on the third row. Adam Thomas sensationally transferred through, and Kieran Forrest, along with Matt Keys and points leader Bo Albert by the skin of his teeth, transferred into this feature race. 10 laps, 10 cars. I had to correct you. I came back just as you said. Hook did not win in Crandon. John Dipple did, but Hook had a podium finish. Glad you can join us here in the Automotive Sports Network, presented by Simracer Coin. Remember, cryptocurrency designed by sim racers for our racers, and our racers take the green flag into turn 1. Silva got a great jump over Ray Kingsbury. Magnus tries to take the fight, and he sends Kingsbury into his teammate, but Magnus gets hit again! Keys and Hook, the teammates, came together in turn 1. Kraus struggling in the 19. Thomas to third, side by side with Kraus into turn number 2. Thomas takes the spot as Cryer there and Albert, they all come together. This is a battle for third as Sindre Silva loves this.
Yeah, it's definitely what he wants to see is these guys all 2, 3, and 4 wide, bouncing and beating off of each other, not keeping their cars, smooth.
As Cryer turns Thomas in the 625 turned out of the way. Sorry to cut you off there. Sindre leads us at the end of the first lap ahead of Kingsbury and Kraus.
And all that mayhem, Sindre just drove off there.
Let's see what the gap updates to at the end of the first lap. It's a 1.5 seconds from Sindre to Kingsbury. And Philip Kraus in the third spot. And we talked about Magnus Okenhaug. This must be his kryptonite because every single race he either gets taken out or doesn't make the final. And our points leader, Bo Albert, sitting in fourth to the inside of Philip Kraus. Contact between them. 4-time champion and the points leader, both dueling it out here. The gap is lengthening. It looks as though that it's going to get longer. We're going to look at the battle for the podium spot right now. Phil ahead of Bo Albert. And what's crucial is Sindre is leading right now, obviously. If he takes this win, he's going to win the Endurance Cup, I think, for the second season in a row. I don't think that's been done in quite some time. I'll take a look here. He's going to win for 2 times in a row. No one's won 2 times in a row. The championship's only been held 7 times in the 22 seasons of the championship. I've won twice. Dylan Livengood once, Cody Erdman once, Harberts once. So Sindre trying to create a record of his own here. Ray was a tenth of a second up on his teammate. Foxhead Gaming, Spark LLM 1-2 right now. Actually 1-2-3 technically by association. But I think on the entry list, they aren't teammates. But technically, this might actually be a podium sweep if it were to end right now. And the only other podium sweep that was done was MRT. It was me, Tristan Hagenstein, and Cody Erdman. As I stand corrected, actually, from our director, Victor Vallee. Apex Academy did it with Rafos, Silva, and Robertson. I think it was in Norway. So I stand corrected there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe I was there for that one.
As 22 seasons and 9 years of this stuff, and you get crossed up and you forget a couple things. That's why I have a ridiculously long stat book, and people think I'm an encyclopedia. I used to remember it all, but now it's all down to the spreadsheet. That's my brain. Top 3. Top 3 breaking away, 0.3 of a second up, was Silva over Kingsbury. It's really died down since the end of the first lap. I don't think we have Magnus. No, Magnus is here. Magnus is on track, but he's in 10th spot. The battle's getting good for the second spot now. Kingsbury's falling into the clutches of Philip Kraus as Silva drives away from these guys. If you're Sindre Silva, this is what you need to see, but this is also what you don't want to see. As your championship rival, Bo Albert, up front, and Magnus too. Magnus was so close on points, and then it all unraveled in turn 1.
Yeah, it was definitely unfortunate. You hate to see it for Magnus. Those guys, you know, he was working hard. He was in a good position there, and just the calamity got him. That's how it goes sometimes.
Crossed flags in Nevada for Sindre Silva. Last lap time 51.4, 51.285 for Ray, 50.8. So Phil was the fastest car there in the last lap rotation, 2.9 seconds from Sindre to Phil. So it'll be interesting to see if the Canadian can keep up this pace. He's going to try the inside on his teammate, Ray Kingsbury. Can't get it done now. Albert stalking his prey in 4th position.
Yeah, these guys are starting to get racing. That's exactly what Albert needs, is for them to just get a little bit together and, you know, knock them off their groove just enough, and he'll be right there back into the...
As if you're Sindre Silva here, I could imagine that you're going to be focused, but you're also not going to be worried. You're going to be focused on the cars behind, but not going to be focused, because you want to make sure that you hold this lead. 4 laps to go for Sindre Silva, trying to make it 2 wins in a row and to sweep this Endurance Cup here in 2021A. Kraus to the inside of Kingsbury, forces his way through. He was half a second down that last lap, but now let's see if Phil can set his sights on Sindre Silva.
Yeah, he can set his sights on him, but he's still got some ground to make up.
So the second on the wins list, Philip Kraus with 24 race wins. To put it in perspective, Lambert has 5, Sindre Silva has 4, Albert has 2, and I think those are the only race winners in this finale right now. As I stand corrected, Lambert did not make the final. He got passed by Albert, I do believe. It's been a crazy race. 50.7 to a 51 flat, 0.3 of a second up. Silva over Kraus. I think the battle here is going to be for the 3rd spot. Kingsbury and Albert. Not much action going on throughout the field. Magnus by himself, so is Keys, Thomas, Cryer, Hook, Forrest. Everything really settles down here in this race. Once you get going, we're coming to 2 laps to go now. And Sindre Silva set sail. What a start. He had it last week. He has it now. You get that start, you get the momentum, and you just pull away.
Yeah, you had the corner clean. Nobody else did, and you just drive off into the sunset. Sometimes that's how you get it done. Definitely a good feeling, you know, as a race car driver to be in. You know, you hate to see everybody wreck like that in the first turn, but you definitely love the feeling of having one that feels like it's in control, and all you got to do is just hit your marks every now and again.
Lap times are equal from Silva to Kraus. And Kingsbury holding off Bo Albert to try and get this podium sweep for Last Lap Motorsports. And it's interesting, Last Lap cars, they have not won on a proper rallycross track. If everything goes their way, they have only won on a regular or an endurance track. Last week, here when Matt Kingsbury won, and then today.
That's a crazy stat. I hadn't even thought of that.
White flag for Sindre Silva in car number 63. Can he bring it home for 2 in a row, the Endurance Cup, and a podium sweep for Last Lap Motorsports? The American squad from Connecticut joined the series when we made the transition to iRacing back in 2018. Had no luck until they put this squad together. They finally got all the pieces of the puzzle together with Sindre Silva, Ray Kingsbury, Phil shows up every once in a while. And they have a very talented squad for Last Lap Motorsports. Final corner. For Sindre Silva, he will tie Brandon Lambert for 10th on the wins list. He's going to have 5 wins in the championship, and he sweeps the endurance rounds and wins that championship. Sindre wins in Wild West ahead of Philip Kraus, and Ray Kingsbury brings home the podium sweep for Last Lap. Bo Albert off the podium again in the 06. Coming home in 5th, a very quiet race, was Adam Thomas in his first final in the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge. As like we mentioned, all of that chaos in turn 1 really put a damper on all of that. Bodie Cryer comes home in 6th. Matt Keys will come home in the 7th position, ahead of Kieran Forrest. Actually, Hook is ahead of Forrest. Forrest is off the lead lap, and then Okenhow comes home in the 10th spot. As Marwan, Moftar, Rateau, Ragster, Stratton, Brokaw, Crosgrove, that is 11th down the order. And then Lambert, Seymour, Howell, Feldman, Kingsbury, Edmondson down the order, 12th on down. As we begin our post-race show, I will shut up, bring in our podium finishers, and we will finish it up.
Alrighty, as we get ready for the post-race show here, about to bring in Ray Kingsbury here in just a moment. As I believe that's going to be Josh's job here. Yep, there we go. Say Ray Kingsbury, P3 tonight. Say hi,
Vic.
I was gonna say, how we doing? How we feeling after that one?
We're feeling pretty good, Victor. I think we walked away standing on 2 feet. We didn't get paralyzed, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, not paralyzed, not barrel rolling down the hill. I think that's a pretty much a win in that situation. You had Phil get by you there. I mean, obviously you're running for points, he's not. But at the end of the day, you did win your heat, and you did run away with a lockout of the podium. Of course, you've been in the series for about, I don't know, let's see here, 3 years now. So, I believe this is the first time Last Lap Motorsports has locked out a podium, so it's going to make you feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think it's the first time we locked out a podium. So, yeah, pretty good. I think we had the cars to do it last year here. We just got a lot better cars this year.
A lot better cars and a lot better luck as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
speaking of that,
Phil got by me, but, I mean, what can I say? He was faster than me.
And speaking of the luck here, everybody else behind you about 5th on back was absolutely in a hornet's nest. Definitely winning your heat seemed to be a huge advantage there. And with that said, the guy who started 10th finished right behind you, though, and was breathing down your neck, and that was Bo Albert. How much pressure did he put on you, and was it more of just kind of running your race and not really worrying about where he was at?
Yeah, Bo was pretty kind to us. He didn't really send it or anything. So I think he was just looking to get out of there with some points after his pedals failed on him. So I think he was pretty happy. I was just driving my line. The track was really weird because every other time we ran, the air temp was hotter than the track temp was hotter than the air temp. But today, the track for some reason was cooler than the air temp. So it was almost like the mud was hotter than what was underneath it. So it was just really understeery. So we were just not getting through the corners in that final, but didn't make too many mistakes, and we walk out with a podium.
Yeah, walking out with the podium, of course. Do you have anyone to thank for your result tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we've got Simracer coin on the car, and with the series, so big shout out to them. Spark Virtual Racing, big part of our Last Lap Motorsports team. They made it possible for us to develop into the team we are right now, and also big shout outs to Phil, to Sindre, Magnus, Brandon, everybody for all the practice they put in prior to this event, and Marwin as well. A lot of practice. Car came out great, so.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on your 3rd place result tonight, Ray.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hope it was fun for you.
It was absolutely fun up here in the booth for us. So that was your 3rd place finisher. Now, Josh, I believe you have caught up with your former teammate, Philip Kraus.
Hey, Phil. You broke my heart, and you got back in this car, right?
Hello.
But I guess you still know how to do it.
Sort of.
What'd you think?
I mean, I didn't get crashed, so that's always a good start, to be honest. With every other year I've been crashed, or I've crashed into someone, so, it's a nice change of pace to just have a clean race for once.
So Ray was talking about the air temp and the track temp being different, and the corners were hard to navigate. Did you have that problem? I mean, it's going to be dumb that I asked you that since you passed him, but I'm just curious to know. Did you have that issue as well?
No, not really. I just kind of drove around. If it stuck, it stuck. If it didn't, it didn't. That's kind of the mentality you take into these tracks, and seemed like I had a bit more front end bite than him, though. I think it was just how he was driving the track didn't cooperate with the temperatures as much, because obviously with different temperatures you don't have the heat in the tires and all that fun stuff.
Do you think you had anything for Sindre?
I mean, I don't know. When I got past Ray, I had a 3-second gap, and it was 3 seconds at the end, so maybe. I don't think I would have got past him, though, because when you're that equal in pace, it's hard to pass unless you do a dive bomb and destroy them.
Should we expect Mr. Philip Kraus to appear in the closing half of this season, do you think?
When I'm around, I'll be racing, yeah.
And I guess last thing I got, do you have anyone to thank for this 2nd place result? You got another podium. Not as close as my record, but you're getting close to that. Anybody to thank?
Spark Virtual Racing, HM Engineering. They're 2 pretty good buds. They help a lot.
Again, you broke my heart when you got back in the car, but it's good to see you got the talent. Good run, buddy, and hope you had fun tonight.
Thank you. Love you, Josh.
Love you, Phil. And we bring in our race winner and our 2021A Endurance Cup champion, Sindre Silva, Mr. Dylan Baadte. On to you.
Sindre, once again, it's you up here at the very end of the show, man. Walk us through that race and what was going through your mind there on that first turn when everybody just kind of exploded behind you.
I think I was smiling when I heard in the call that people were spinning and had some issues behind there. But yeah, fortunate for them. But it kind of helped out us with making this podium clean sweep.
Yeah, definitely cool. That's 3rd time, I believe, now in NASA Rallycross history that a team has locked out the entire podium. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, not to discredit anything, you had the big gap after everybody got into each other, but you still had to run 10 clean laps
with a lot of good guys behind you, and they were all giving it everything they had. So, congratulations on an awesome run, man. I've been hearing a lot about understeeriness in the car, but you look pretty smooth out there for the most part. Maybe it was because you didn't have so many cars around you, but I mean, were you experiencing the same stuff as those guys are talking about?
Yeah, kinda. I didn't focus so much about it. I just tried to focus, get the car rotated through the corners, but I felt a little bit understeery. But I think it's the main issue is that it's long. So I started in the heat 1, and that was the last time I drove the car. And you had a warm up, of course, but it's like you have a little gap there with the brake, and you just need to try to get used to it. So I used kind of the 5 first laps to just get used to the situation I was put in there, and then just try to get the P1 again.
Well, it certainly paid off, and it worked for you, buddy. Congratulations on winning yet again, and on your Endurance Cup championship. That's awesome. Congratulations on picking that up. You got anybody you want to thank for tonight?
I want to thank all the LLM guys for putting down the effort with the setups and everything. Fox Gaming, the organization I'm signed under. Their sponsors Power, Özskog, Sparebank, and Fjordofil.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure having you. Thanks for putting on a great show, and we'll be excited to see you for the second half of the season.
Thank you.
As we finally close this up, of course, I'll have my final thoughts, but we'll work in reverse this time. We will go. We'll start with Mr. Baadte. What'd you think about tonight's race?
Tonight, I thought it wasn't quite as hectic and as much mayhem as last year. Granted, we had our moments, but it felt like these guys are. It's like a switch is flipping these last few weeks. It seems like everybody's giving it a little bit more effort, a little bit more enthusiasm, and maybe it's because we're in that time of the year where the real world racing is kicking back up. Everybody's excited. You got that urge to go out and dominate and win, and be the man again. But it's certainly been making for a great show these last few weeks, and especially here tonight. Some awesome racing, some excellent feel-good stories. We had Lambert there almost hold on and beat Bo Albert for the LCQ there. It's just been an awesome show, and I'm excited. I'm really excited for these guys. They're gonna keep stepping it up like this. It's only gonna get better.
And Victor?
Absolutely, and maybe it's the tracks. Josh, I know you have kind of said this over and over. It's the tracks, it's the tracks, it's the tracks. Maybe it's the drivers. I don't know. We'll figure out that next week when we head to, I believe it's Sonoma is the next track for us. So Sonoma next week on the 17th, of course. I think that's going to be the big teller of if it's the drivers or if it's the tracks. And if it's anything like it was this week and 2 weeks ago in Crandon, I believe we're going to really know it's the drivers. And I really cannot wait to see what these guys do in wine country.
As my statement really kind of combines yours and Dylan's. These endurance tracks, and I said this 2 weeks ago, why do you write a schedule with these tracks on it? Just to switch it up. You don't want to run the same tracks over and over and over again, because then you get into a groove, you get monotonous. You got to switch up the order, switch up the format. That is the name of the game. Halfway through the season, did I expect all this craziness? Kind of, but not really. 3 different winners, Parisi, Silva, and Albert, all world championship drivers, and we got 5 races left to see what's going to go on, and this is going to be a duel for that championship. Like it was mentioned, next week we will be at the Sonoma Raceway for round number 6 of the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge in 2021A. So be sure to join us there, and we will be live as well tomorrow, right around this time, for the GT Americas. You will join Mike Berry, Victor Vallee, and Chad Irvine as we will be racing at Road Atlanta in Brazelton, Georgia for GT Americas. But from all of us here at ASN and the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge, remember that this broadcast brought to you by our friends over there. The cryptocurrency made by sim racers for sim racers. And Sindre Silva certainly raced to own the winner's coin tonight. Thank you to all of us who participated, watched, broadcasted, anyone involved, as we all greatly appreciate it. From all of us, we will see you next week in Sonoma. But until then, so long, everyone.